Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. It's the Three Amigos. This is a time where I get my weekly ab exercise, so I appreciate these gentlemen. Matt, let's go to you first. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I mean, we're having too much fun, I think.
Yes.
This is real estate and numbers. Like honestly.
Who can make this fun?
Yeah, only us, I guess.
Only us. And then we got the crash talker himself, Mr. Dion.
Howdy. I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having us here. I am ready for round 6. And
Yes.
I think in order to keep up with you guys,
that's this many, by the way.
that's sign language for 6.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I was gonna say.
I was like, that's like a broken hand. What is he doing?
You're a dummy. No, you're a dummy.
Exactly.
See, I told you this was fun. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. What was the symbol for 6 again? Yeah, no idea. Okay.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Why is it on one hand? Why isn't that sick? But
You have a dominant hand, you sign, the others for backup tertiary actions. So basic sign language: male, female, future, past. You can speak from different languages, and small things like car or van might be different because it's not auto instead of a van, but the basic signs translate across all languages. So,
well, there we go. I did not know Three Amigos was going to go to the sign language. I appreciate that. Guys, I don't know. I envision this being an important topic. We'll see what happens. But Jamie Dimon, somebody I respect, somebody I follow, somebody's like, he's in the headline. I'm going to read that article, right?
Yeah.
Certainly for my daily financial news. He, in the span of 4 business days, he went from saying, folks, we have some storm clouds on the horizon.
Mhm.
Storm clouds, hey, really no big deal, right? Storm clouds, no big deal. 2 guys, those aren't storm clouds.
Mhm.
That's the front end of a hurricane, and it's going to come ashore.
Mhm.
So you guys do all the right things. We try to help people. So I'm going to ask you to pretend you're going to have a conversation with a family member. You pick whoever it is, younger, older, same age, whatever, but they are not in your situation. They are not financially independent. They likely depend on their job. They likely are feeling inflation. They likely are nervous about layoffs. I know I have family members in this boat that aren't prepared for a storm, let alone a hurricane.
Mhm.
And this concerns me. So I thought I would ask each of you, off the top of your head, if you were going to say 3 or 4 things to this family member right now, what would you tell them to do to get ready for a hurricane? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Matt, what would you tell
them? Build reserves. That's going to be their most important thing. A lot of people are like, oh, if we're heading for a financial downturn, I'm going to pay off my $15,000 credit card. Don't do that. That's not what I would do. I would put that $15,000 in a bank, because if I lose my job, I can make the minimum payment forever, really. So that's how I made it through 07 or 08, 09, was because I didn't sit there and say, I'm going to take the $20,000 I just got and I'm going to pay down my credit card. Nope.
Yeah, because you don't get it back. Yeah,
you don't get it back. And what am I going to do with that $20,000 utilization? You know what's going to happen? Jamie Dimon's guy is going to call. And he's going to go, Mr. Hawkins, we realize that you just paid off the account. Here's what we'd like to do. We'd like to reduce your credit limit to 0. Please.
How do you like me now?
Yeah. So that's what they did last time. They take credit out of the market. So the most important thing that you can do is stack cash, stack cash, stack cash. That way that you can pay for something in cash if you need to. But if you do have room on your credit card, again, you lose your job, you can make the $267 minimum payment. What you can't do is there's a lot of things that you can't buy with a credit card that you may need. Like there's a lot of contractors, like you get a hole in your roof, you blow up a water heater, all that stuff. A lot of those people don't take credit cards, or the ones that do are significantly more expensive than the guys that don't.
That's powerful. I'm glad you brought that up. Dion, what you got?
Little time travel. Future Dion is going to hate the words I'm about to say. But I want to clarify, this is the person who doesn't have any investing. Mm-hmm. They're not in our position. They have not diversified their sources of income. Mm-hmm. The hurricane coming, recession, layoffs, all of that. I would connect them with Dave Ramsey.
Oh, yes.
I would say in your position, if your goal is not to invest right now to be the most stable for the hurricane that's coming, Matt nailed it, build reserves.
Yeah, I like that.
The first few baby steps. Eliminate your high interest debt, eliminate adjustable rate debt if you can. I wouldn't use your reserves to dump it down to zero to do that.
Right.
For my conspiracy theorist friends out there, I would say if you're going to have gold, buy 10th ounces, the ones that look like a dime. Easier to trade with during an actual time where currency becomes a problem, depending on how weird the hurricane gets.
Sure.
But I would do that. Dave Ramsey's got great advice for the broke mindset of wanting to be able to survive to retirement, to barely survive in retirement. Makes total sense. Not the best investing advice, but that's where I would take somebody, no matter their age and no matter their starting position. Here's these steps that you should learn.
I love both of those. First off, second the opinion that Matt brought up, don't pay off. Like if you've got 10 grand and you have a 10, don't do that, right? If you really think a hurricane is coming, keep that. That is your life vest or whatever the right analogy is, right? You may not need it, but it's really good to have.
Yeah.
Right. Because not having it's a problem. And I agree. Dave Ramsey. I mean, if again, somebody in my network, my family, they're not where we're at. I would tell them Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey, go, go, go. Absolutely. I guess because those two are awesome. The other thing I would kind of try to communicate is, I don't know if this is going to sound bad or not, but this is not going to be your only hurricane, right? You're going to go through a couple of these in your lifetime. So do me a favor and remember this, because again, I always talk about being prepared so you can thrive. A lot of my family members aren't prepared, just aren't. And it's going to suck and it's going to hurt. And it just is. It will happen again in 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 years. Let's not be in that situation again, right? This is predictable. You can watch the tea leaves, right? So that's kind of the first thing I would unfortunately kind of try to bring up, because I think your first two are awesome. I would go there right away. I would tell them, guys, recessions, bear markets happen. Let's not be in such dire straits where moving in with your mom or your brother or your cousin is like a legitimate option. If it gets that bad where you've got to down select and go roommates, you probably did some stuff wrong. Let's not do that again. So we'll go around one more time. Matt, you got another one?
Oh yeah. Get rid of your car payment.
Ooh.
Yep. I'm as financially free as the next guy, and I have a car that is bought and paid for that's worth about $3,000.
I hope people hear that. I mean,
I've got a truck that's worth 12 grand, all paid for. Now, at the end of the day, I will be buying, per my accountant, some extremely expensive maintenance level equipment, but it's because the business supports it. If you're an individual and you have the famous $500, $600, $700, $800 car payment, now, before all these repos hit the market in the next year, is probably your highest and best use of cash. Get rid of it, get something older, get something used. If you don't want to go that far and you have something that might be 5 or 6 years old, the next most important step that you can make, take it to a good mechanic, have them completely go through it, and make sure you get all of those repairs out of the way now, because when recession hits, supply chains get even more impacted. When that happens, there might be parts on your car that you might not be able to get. And then what do you do? Because you don't have a job. You cannot buy a car unless you're buying something buy here, pay here at 26%. So if you're not going to trade in your car and trade in your car payment and get rid of that, then at least take whatever car that you do have, make sure that it's been gone through by a mechanic, because I can tell you in that last crash, guess what happened? Every mechanic was 6, 8, 10 weeks out, because everybody had to keep their car. And at that time, supply chain wasn't even a thing. You could get any part for any of those cars at any time. That is a different world now. And so put yourself in a position where they've gone through your car. You understand, okay, yeah, let's address all those issues. That way, at least if you do lose your job, you have the car that you need to get to the next job. or to do some sort of delivery service, whatever it is, you have the means to do that.
Very cool. Dion, last one.
To wrap up, the thing that would excite me was that a family member was coming to talk to me about it in the first place. So the fear of the hurricane would be exciting to me, because anytime finances have come up with most friends and family from before I was an investor, I haven't ditched everybody, right? I've changed some of my friends, because you can't change your friends, right? But those friends that I haven't changed, talking to me, have said in the past, I'm so glad I'm not in your position, Dion, because you have all of that debt. What happens if there's a recession? So I'd have the chance to explain how to diversify a rental portfolio, how to diversify your tenants, how to maintain your debt structure to where you can handle a massive rent decrease or property value decrease and not be impacted. All of these things, and then flip it around and go, when a recession comes and you're happy that those greedy people are finally taking it because their property's lost value, wouldn't care. Or stock portfolios lost value, which is probably the stock portfolio that person's retirement account is in. And when the iBuyers lose money and the iBuyers companies are in the S&P 500 and the S&P 500 loses value because of all of that, their retirement account is going to be the one that takes the pain. Their company is going to take the pain. So their layoff is going to happen. Matt and I are sitting here thinking, could I get fired tomorrow? Like, how fun would that be? Because then I don't have to quit.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the thing we're dreading. Like, we're walking away from good jobs that aren't hard, that we enjoy, but we don't need.
Right.
Versus a person right now where that's their sole source of income.
Right.
And so we can say, diversify. I was in law enforcement in 2008 when they laid off, all departments laid off. So it's not like I could do a lateral transfer, which would take up to a year to go to another department that wasn't hiring either. I had a CDL. I was able to land on my feet. So if you have that job right now, what backups do you have that aren't in the same industry? Because if an industry takes a hit so much that you get laid off, competitors might also be doing layoffs. So you might look at branching out to another source of income, at least one that you can survive on. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would look for. I'd be excited to have that conversation, because they don't want to hear a word of it.
Yeah, that is certainly true, right? Everyone in my network, my family knows what we do. And yeah, let's just say not a lot of them read the book, right? Not a lot of them, seriously, not a lot have family members have read. They're like, no, right? It would be a reminder of all the sacrifices and how it paid off. They don't want to read it. I guess what I would tell them to kind of wrap this up, I'm going to tie two things together. So I'm going to cheat. I want to remind people that just yesterday in the Daily Financial News, I shared that 25% of Americans are delaying retirement because of what is going on. And if I'm going to talk to a family member who's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, I want to remind them that their ultimate goal is retirement. And back to my earlier point, you're going to have another one of these. I want you to not look about the storm cloud, but I want you to look at retirement. Do you really want to be retiring on just a 401k? What happens if the stock market goes down and you have a 201k when you retire? What happens if they inflate the dollar away to nothing and you look to retire and you have to keep working at Target as a greeter because this or that? Do me a favor. Do the work. We are having a crash in transactions, which means it will be easier and easier and easier and easier to find motivated sellers. Do yourself a favor. Get a great deal. Get 30-year debt right now. Make sure it cash flows day one. It's an amazing yield, so that when you get to retirement and you have a 401k, you have other options. I feel so bad for folks that are at that age, because you don't get to rewind the clock. So if I'm talking to someone in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, I'm like, buck up, buttercup. This ain't going to be your last recession, but I want you to pretend you're 65. Do you really want to bank on this environment? Or would you like to get to 4 rentals? Because that's all I've ever talked about. I just talk about 4. I don't talk about 10. I don't talk about 100. It's 4. 4 changes your life. So let's have an uncomfortable conversation about getting to 4 and at least getting 1 in this great real estate crash that we are in. Dion, where can people find you?
They can find me right here on YouTube, where I really enjoy the fact that I get to hang out with people like you, because it clarified today. I had a moment where I realized my circle of people and this circle of people are very different, because we're so bougie that failing and we become a greeter at Target. My circle of friends would be a greeter at Walmart. So I need to up that circle to this circle more. Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. Thank you.
Matt, and you?
you'll be able to find me in the Home Depot plumbing aisle telling you that's not the right part. Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and on Instagram, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sundays. We do a live stream.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Ciao.